Hello everybody, welcome back to Life Stories. My name is Trent and I hope you're doing awesome as always. Today, we got more stories coming at you from a certain little subreddit that features parents of the entitled variety. You can put it together, it's Entitled Parents. Sit down, buckle in, get some snacks, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, I'm briefly held hostage by my own entitled grandmother. Our cast for tonight's special. Me, yours truly, the pseudo-kidnappee in our tale. Mum, my mother. Dad, my father. Granddad, my grandfather on my dad's side. Not sure if he's entitled or not. Nan, my grandmother on my mom's side. And Grandma, my grandmother on my dad's side. Also the mother of all freaking entitled parents. So, without further ado, a fair semi-rural town in northern England is where we lay our scene. I am a bastard child. My parents broke up a few months after they learned of my conception, but did so on good terms and have never had any serious fighting between them. Oh no, that falls to my grandma, but all in good time. My mother's side of the family is pretty standard and has nobody in particular worth going into for this, but my dad's side was an unholy hot mess. My granddad had an ultra-religious, ultra-disciplinarian father who took the ideological crusade method of parenting. And so, at 18, my granddad did the only logical thing. Got drunk, came home, tripped over a spade, angrily javelin-tossed said spade through, and I mean through, a shed, got lambasted, and blurted out that he was joining the army. And he did. Paratroopers, in fact. He fought in two places, Northern Ireland and the Republic of who the heck knows. Sometimes it's Sudan, other times it's Libya, or Lebanon, Cambodia, even Vietnam, despite him being about 3 during the Vietnam War. I don't know, and apparently neither does he. We also think he's a narcissist, but we don't press that. More on that later, stay tuned. He married Grandma and had 3 children. The eldest, a daughter, my aunt, who put up with her family for 18 years. And so, at 18, she did the only logical thing. Flee to the USA, marry, drop the English accent, and duck low until things blew over. The middle child, my dad, was a short, pasty guy who likes video games and not having malevolent parents. He achieved one of those goals. And the youngest, my other aunt, who shared my dad's ambitions to not have a malevolent parentage. Also has a deathly phobia of ketchup for unrelated reasons. Hey, you in the back, stop laughing. I'm completely serious. And so, that brings us to entitled Grandma, henceforth just Grandma. My granddad was lax on the reins of discipline, to say the least. Grandma was a draconian authoritarian and took discipline to the point of weaponizing it. We can confidently say that she was a psychopath, untreated, and dangerously clever. If you're having trouble, picture a 60-year-old female Ramsay Bolton, also a smoker. That too. You know what? Screw it. Grandma is now Ramsay. Ramsay's favorite hobby was to manipulate people and play them off of each other. I'm completely certain that she married my granddad because he was a narcissist and she knew exactly how to massage his ego to get exactly what she wanted. After that, she practiced on her children. If she wanted to punish my dad, she'd drag his little sister in by the wrist and press a freaking carving knife to her sternum. This should give you a good idea of what she was like. She was a lot more psychotic and controlling than most EPs. She's the one who would spread a few rumors to get 2 EPs to attack each other tooth and claw for her amusement. That's what my dad grew up in. After serving in the army, my granddad worked on an oil rig out in the North Sea as some kind of safety inspector. High paid and out for months at a time, leaving my dad and his siblings at Ramsay's mercy. That is, until Granddad had a minor spinal injury, which meant he couldn't work on the rig anymore. Now, that sounds bad, but he got a freaking massive compensation fund. So he came home with a sore back, but a metric crap ton of moolah to spend on his family. Now, that sounds good, but it meant Ramsay had another toy to play with, and hundreds of thousands of pounds to boot. That is not a good combination. My mother enters the scene somewhere around 2000 and doesn't really see much of any of this, but I'm born in 2003, and that kicks off a freaking civil war between the family, chiefly between Mum and Ramsay. See, Ramsay had grown to dislike her family, but she adored and cooed over me, and always wanted more. So now she actually had a goal: break my mom off from me so that Ramsay could take control. Dad was young, confused, and weary and couldn't do much. Mom was similar. One aunt was in the USA, the other was paralyzed by the mere thought of resistance. Grandad didn't have the fighting spirit to resist his wife either, and he knew it. Aside from that, we think that he understood what was going on and disliked it. But he did also adore me, and probably wanted to have custody over me just as much as Ramsay. He wasn't a willing participant per se, more like passively supportive of Ramsay's schemes. Now, please bear in mind that this is only what I've been told. There were probably more games being played that I'm not aware of. First, Ramsay attacked my non-dysfunctional family. Rumors began to circulate. A family friend was trash-talking my Nan on my mom's side. Nan actually secretly disliked Uncle X. Uncle X hated Aunt Y's cooking, and so on. None of them were true, but to an outsider looking in, this looked like a dog-eat-dog world. Then she turned to me directly. Mom had me most of the time, so Ramsay started demanding, via Dad and Grandad of course, that they, meaning she, could have me over there more often. She put lots of emphasis on the money and how good my life would be there, and how unfair it was that she'd only seen me for X days that month. Ramsay was playing the game from the other angle too. She started turning Mom against her family. She spread more rumors, claiming to be proof that it was actually Mom who had a dysfunctional family. Some of those rumors targeted Mom too. Relatives X, Y, and Z disliked Mom, and Mom disliked cousins A, B, and C. BS. But calculated BS. Mom grew more distant from her own family as they tried again and again to sort things out. The scheme started to collapse right as Ramsay went in for the kill. She'd shared grave concerns about how much Mom actually cared for me. Side note, I'm less than a year old at this point, and it's winter. Mom is going through all the stress of a normal new mother on top of this. She didn't love me, she said. Sometimes she forgot to feed me, and Ramsay had to breastfeed me herself. I really freaking hope she never actually did. She went as far as to say that Mom was deranged, maybe even insane. She had Grandad do her dirty work as well, but that proved a bad idea. He got drunk at a barbecue and started railing to Nan about Mom. Have you ever noticed how Mom never loves me whenever someone else is around? Nan, visibly shocked, oh no, Mom loves me ever so much. No, you've got to listen to me. You've got to believe me. You've got to listen. But at this point, he's literally grabbing Nan by the shoulders and shaking her. So Ramsay dives in to salvage things and get him home. But the damage was done. All suspicions were raised about Ramsay and Grandad, and the rumors began circling back. Mom's end of the family realized what was happening and started, for the lack of a better term, gearing up for war. That is, except Mom herself. Remember what I said earlier about her being delicate at the time? She'd been depressed through high school and was already brittle on that front. Now she was a new mother, and on top of that, she was being hounded by Ramsay. Not only that, but Ramsay focused all her efforts on Mom after the barbecue incident. She staged interventions aimed at knocking at Mom's self-esteem, her self-worth, and even making her doubt her own sanity. It was gaslighting in full effect, and it was taking effect. At this point, Mom is a wreck, but her family have mobilized for war, and they're doing all they can to support her and me. Finally, one night, things turn around. My aunt on my mom's side gives her a pep talk. She says that Ramsay has been manipulating her. Everyone can see it. She laid out evidence of Ramsay's attacks and propped up her nerves. Mom had to take control, or Ramsay would win. 6-month-old me was with Ramsay at that point, but due to be collected the next day. Aunt fired Mom up. When she went to pick me up tomorrow, she was going to lay down the law to Ramsay. She was going to tell her she wasn't welcome with Mom's family, and not welcome with me unless at Mom's specific and direct permission. Tomorrow arrives. Mom comes in the evening, as planned. She steels herself and walks in. Through the front door takes Mom directly into the dining room in the middle of the house. Sitting at the other end and smoking heavily like a mafia boss is Ramsay, very obviously waiting for her. Ramsay, to my mom, we need to talk. She said it as hard and monotone as possible. I am nowhere to be seen. Neither is anyone else. "Where's my son?" my mom says. Sit down. He's upstairs, asleep. Don't disturb him." Mom begins standing up. She shouts for Dad to bring me downstairs. No answer. Ramsay gets angry, a cold kind. She berates Mom for daring to wake her grandson while he sleeps. Before she can continue, though, Mom launches back. She accuses Ramsay of manipulating her, of attacking her family, of trying to steal me. Mom tells Ramsay that she's taking me back, right now, and permanently. Dad eventually scuttles downstairs, having overcome his fear somewhat, and offers to bring me down. "No, Mom, you're clearly in no state of mind to have the kid right now. I'll be taking the kid for a few days more, and you can have him back when you've calmed down and you've apologized to me." She then stood up as Mom began to protest. "He's sleeping. Granddad's taking care of him, and I won't let you take him when you're so hysterical." Here we are, folks. I am quite literally being held hostage at my own grandmother's behest. And so, thankfully, Mom loses all restraint and verbally wails on Ramsay. She attacks her as hard as possible, threatens lawsuits, the police, her family, and demands to her and Dad that someone bring me down immediately, or she will march up and take me by force. Ramsay sits quietly until Dad calls for Grandad, who brings me down, timidly. Mom marches out, Dad in tow, to her own house a few streets away. That wasn't the end of this war, but it might as well have been. Dad finally stopped playing middle ground and fully sided against Ramsay. Younger Aunt followed suit. I wasn't going to Ramsay's at all anymore, and Grandad rightfully blamed her for it, along with the atrocities that she committed during Dad's childhood. They divorced a few years later. In those few years, Ramsay launched a full-on campaign of lawsuit threats, but Mom threatened them right back, and clearly had the stronger case. The divorce was the killing blow. She didn't get much, not the house, and not me. Her kids all moved out by then, and after that, they cut ties with her. The last we saw of her, she was shopping at a local Sainsbury's, which is a bit like a British Walmart. We don't know if she's still alive or not. Whatever the case, she's dead to us. Grandad is alive, well, and probably still a narcissist, but as I said, we haven't pressed it, for a few reasons. 1, he isn't a serious danger at this point. 2, he's alive and in contact with the family. And 3, Dad and his siblings needed someone in their childhood to latch onto as a parental figure, and with Grandad being the least awful, they latched onto him. They started to see what he really is in recent years, but it's a taboo subject, and we're content to, sorry if this is harsh, die with him when he passes. So, there we have it. Mom has completely recovered, married, and had another child. Dad also married a woman with a daughter, so I have a stepsister now. Ramsay has basically faded to the wind, and I'm happy to let it stay that way. Wind can't hurt me any more than memories can. And that was kind of a long and emotionally arduous story, but I can only say that I'm happy for you, OP, and glad that, despite everything, your family was able to move on. And with that exceptionally long story out of the way, we are out of time. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in once again to Life Stories. I hope you're all doing well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill. Just to make sure that any of the videos we're working on don't pass you by, my name is Trent, and I hope to see you guys soon.